This video here is for you. Stick around. This is for you if you are vegan, if you do know what it feels like to struggle with anger and frustration. This video is also for you if you are an activist, if you're a vegan activist or any other kind of activist, if you're going out there on the streets, you're participating in demonstrations, or maybe you're also being very active online, you're sharing the vegan message or any other social, animal, human, environmentalism rights movement. Whatever you share, wherever you share it. If you're an activist, if you know anger, frustration, hang around with me. Now, there's been something that's popped up and come up to my attention, and I've been writing about this here on social media. I've been sharing this with you. James Aspey, one of the biggest activists in the vegan activism scene, has experienced, let's call it a burnout due to chronic pain caused by unprocessed emotions, mainly anger and frustration. Now, what happened to him was he got physically disabled to really do anything. He was in a lot of physical pain. And when that came out, when he made a YouTube video quite recently, maybe a month ago, and he shared his journey, I was called to talk about this more. I felt like, holy fucking shit, this is something that I've been putting a spotlight on for months already. And now we have another example of a really big name in the activism scene that has suffered the consequences of not dealing with their emotions or not properly healing the trauma signature that is programmed and ingrained in the body every time when we face a challenging debate, conversation, or when we look at footage of what is happening to animals. So every time we do that, we allow our nervous system to go in a state of receiving that. And it can shake us up. It can really make us sad. It can make us mad, angry, and frustrated. And let me know in the comments if that does for you as well. Let me know if you experience that, if you can relate. For me personally, every time when I look at any kind of footage of animal abuse, of animal agriculture, I do feel angry. I do feel frustrated. And I bet most of us do as well. Now, the situation here is that every time when we feel and experience that, we have two choices. We have choice number one. Do we just brush it off and store it somewhere? Right? Store it somewhere. And with storing, I'm going to explain a little bit more about what I mean with storing it somewhere later, as we will zoom in into the symptoms that stored anger and frustration or unprocessed anger and frustration bring up in our bodies and in our minds. Now, that's option number one. Option number two is consciously creating space and applying healing modalities to care for your own emotional well-being and essentially release this traumatic information out of your system. Now, release practices, there's a whole range. I made a course about it. It's called Mental Health Mastery. I'll share it with you in the comments at the end of this live stream if you want to, really get to work and work on your emotional well-being. That's the course for you. And so this range of practices that we have available that I'm teaching in this course, that's the second choice. The second choice is, do we release, do we care for ourselves in these draining moments, in these situations where this trauma information enters our system? And if you follow choice one, let's play out the scenario, right? If you follow choice one, if you allow the anger and frustration to stay in your system somehow, you don't give it the love, care, attention that it needs to be released. Hey, Barb. What happens then is the example that I said before, James Aspey, he went into a chronic pain suffering stage of his life. He received, he stored so much anger and frustration that was never processed, never looked at, never released, his body started physically manifesting symptoms of chronic pain. He had lower back pains, he had upper back pains, shoulder pains. He described in a video on YouTube how he struggled to move. He struggled to actually move his body, and he struggled even more with not moving. Yeah, you know that feeling, you say, Barb, right? So as the result of us consistently kind of bypassing and shoving away the emotions that we're feeling, instead of option number 2 that I said before, applying an emotional well-being practice, something that helps you release these emotions, process them properly. If we don't do that, we end up disempowering ourselves on so many levels. We end up knocking ourselves out on a mental level, struggling harder with things like depression, like anxiety, like PTSD, and also on a physical level. We start knocking ourselves out on a physical level, and that's the highway to a burnout. And that's exactly why I'm here to talk to you about this, because my mission and my quest here is to give you an alternative route, to give you an alternative way that you're not driving down this highway to a burnout, but that you're actually changing directions and you're driving down the highway of healing. And listen to this. The coolest thing about riding on this highway to healing, or highway of healing, is the more you actually focus on emotional well-being, the more you focus on releasing those stored informations, these trauma informations in your body, the more you focus on that, what's going to happen is your energy outwards changes. You will become more capable of showing up in the places that you want to show up. You will become more capable to actually show up for your animal friends, to speak to others in a way that they feel inspired by veganism instead of repelled. You will have conversations, let's say in street outreach, you will have conversations that carry much more impact and grow the fruits of the seeds that you're planting in the other person's mind. Grow those fruits way faster, if not even on the spot, that those person or those people realize, oh my God, veganism inspires me, this person inspires me, I feel the same way, I have to follow through with my intention of being a good person and wanting to serve and to support animals. That will all happen. That will all happen. And all you need to do, or you need to do more of, is to care for your inner world. Because my love, the more you care for that vessel, the more you care for your mental landscape, the more you set yourself up to become impactful, successful, and capable of being an activist, being a change maker in the long run. That's the whole story. So now that you've stuck with me for these 10 minutes, thank you so much. I want to give you some practical tips on how you can work with anger and frustration, how you can work with that, and especially how you can work through that. Now, there's a thing called embodiment practices. And embodiment practices is when we start using our physicality to process what's happening on the inside, the emotions, these processes, these trauma experiences, these emotional storages. Embodiment practices are very often used in either yogic traditions, in any kind of emotional healing modalities. Breath work is one of them. Meditation has aspects of it. But what I want to share with you today is a very practical exercise that is specifically functional for anger and releasing anger. Now, do you remember when you were a kid, when you were younger, and you felt anger, you experienced anger, no matter why you did? There is one response that you would intuitively do. Your body would intuitively go to that response and embody a certain movement, or a combination of movement and sound. Stomping your anger down into the floor, maybe even throwing a tantrum, right? This is something that a child does very intuitively. Now, when we grow up and we become adults, the situation changes and we think it's not how we're supposed to behave. This is not good. This is awkward, or this, we feel shame for showing our anger and bursting out. We learn that it's not great to yell at others. So the situation here is that we create a safe framework to express that, because the body, the body wants to express that. The body wants to, if it's been cooking up in your body, if you haven't been practicing anger release, emotional release for years, your body will cook it up, and at some point there is a moment where the lid of this pan, just flies off, and the steam needs to get out. So the secret here, or the key here, is to create a safe space, a safe framework for you to release that anger. Throwing a tantrum, stomping around, boxing into pillows. Make sure it's pillows and not a hard wall. You could break your hand hitting a wall. Don't do that. Make sure you're setting up a safe environment for your anger to have a form of expression. Yell underwater is another way. All these things that you would do intuitively as a kid if you experience this anger. The question is, can you bring them alive? Can you allow them to be part of your healing process in a safe environment? If you have a neighbor that you know quite well, you can communicate to them, hey, I'm doing a practice that I've learned from a life coach, so don't worry, I'm okay if you hear me yell. This is one way to work through your anger instead of storing it and just letting it sit inside of you and letting it become physical pain in some sort or shape or form. If you go like the first time I learned this, I was like, oh my God, this is quite simple. This is quite simple. Why, of course. The real power in it, though, lays in actually applying these practices, actually applying an anger release practice a couple of times a week if it's needed. Actually applying it. And there's more practices for other emotions. Like each emotion has a different signature to it and might need another form of embodiment. There's different breathing patterns that can help with sadness or with frustration as well. There's different movement patterns that can help with shame or guilt or feeling down, low, and demotivated. That's all the stuff that I teach in my life coaching containers, in my one-on-one coaching or inside of the group coaching programs that I run. And if up until this moment you've been hanging on my lips and you've been like, what he's talking about, it speaks to me, then the invitation really is to reach out to me, because this is as far as I can go in a Facebook live stream. My main intention here is not to just educate a little bit on social media. My main intention is to take you by the hand and teach you what I've learned on my healing journey, to introduce you to these practices and furthermore help you integrate them into your life. Because that's when the true power of these practices start manifesting in your life. That's when you start feeling more successful, more loving, more joyful, and more happy. The only way for me to do that is to get to work with you, right? So, and if this speaks to you, if you would like to step closer to me as I'm stepping closer to you, and if you're interested in one of my offers, yeah, I see all of your love hearts, Barb. Love back to you as well. If you're interested in these, I have these different layers. Over the years, I've created different layers of working with me. And with layers, I mean different price classes. Not everybody can afford one-on-one coaching. So for those of you that can't afford one-on-one coaching, I have courses available, and they're in the range of $250 US. So there's one course that is called Mental Health Mastery. I've named it before, I talked about it before, and I will share the link with you here in the comments right now. This is a course that for us vegans, which we are still living in a dystopian world and we're experiencing these mental health challenges, this course teaches you the foundational skills and practices around mental stability, emotional resilience, and emotional well-being. So let me share the link to that course with you. Here you go. Barb says, I don't have that kind of money. The thing is, I truly believe that if there is something out there that you want to call into your life, let's say you want to enroll in a course of mine like this, I believe in you and I believe you are capable to create that money. It might take some time. Honestly, it took me a whole year to create the money to invest in my first ever business coach. She was like a spiritual business coach, and I felt really called to work with her. Um, and it took me a while to create that money, to save that money and put it aside. It took me a year, but I did it, and I believe everybody can. And if you're saying also, I don't have any PayPal or anything, look, I don't have PayPal either. I live in Indonesia. We have different ways of doing transfers, but there's always been a way. Anybody who struggled with transferring money, we always found a way. So that is not the obstacle. If you want to do a course of mine, you'll get to do a course of mine, period. Now, there's another course which goes more into relationship oriented things. Now, a lot of us also carry anger and frustration in relationships, right? A lot of us carry sadness and don't have proper intentions or boundaries set up in our relationships. So I've created a course that's called The Art of Conscious Relating. It's the same price class. It's $250. I just shared the link in the comments. And this teaches you how to set up proper boundaries in your communication, in your friendships, in your relationships, in every area of your life, how to get married to your heart's intentions, and how to live up to them. So this is also a 6-module course, same like the Mental Health Mastery course. Usually it takes around 6 weeks to walk through both of these courses. Now, if you want a higher type or a higher level of attention, and you really want to be a part of a group that is working live together with me on your inner alignment, on your mental health, on your emotional well-being, then there's a program that I've set up for you. It's called the Beyond Depression program, and it's all around growing beyond mental health struggles and setting yourself up with the foundational and advanced skills and tools to generate good emotional stability, resilience, and well-being. Now, this is a 12-week online group coaching program, which means once a week we have a call. The next round starts in February already. I'll leave you with the link to the details in the comments as well. Beyond Depression program, right? Now, this program is a higher investment. It's $3,000 to enroll in this. You can pay all at once, or you can do monthly payments. And what you're getting in this program is you're getting access to the Mental Health Mastery course. So you're also getting access to these foundational skills. And then each week we'll have a group coaching call. They're on the weekend. So if you're working during the week, you can still join them. And I'll make sure that they work for each time zone of every participant. If we have time zone, like in the past, I've had participants from the States and also from Europe. So what I did is I created 2 different split groups, and we had one group call for the people in the States and one group call for the people in Europe and also in Asia, which is where I'm at. Now, this program it's the full circle. It's the full circle of healing yourself. I'm going to teach you like everything I know, and the first 6 weeks are about the foundational skills, and then the second 6 weeks are about deeper inner healing practices. So we're going to look at emotional release. We're going to look at trauma recovery, trauma release, and we're also going to dive into the topic of applying this new frequency that you're generating through being a part in this program, applying that to your work and your presence as a vegan change maker in the world. I'm only taking vegans into this program. This is really important because we feel safe. We're a family, we're a tribe, we're vegans that are there to support each other and learn from each other. And we can even vent. We can even vent inside of the Beyond Depression program. We can be like, oh, fuck this shit meat eater again, and da-da-da-da. There is space for that in that program as well, because venting can also be a way to release. So these are the current offers that I'm having for you, dear vegan friends. And I see Barb, you're saying I will try to save. Yes. You know, if you want to do a course, $250, it's really not the world. It might take a while for you to save that and put that aside, but whenever you have it, just shoot me a message and we'll arrange the payment details. They're really not that complicated, and then you can get started with any course that you want. You can start with the mental health mastery. I think that's something that I would recommend from reading your comments here, that depression is something you've been struggling with, so that would be the course for you. And for anybody else, yeah, just check that stuff out. It's really important work. Now you know why it's so important to work on our anger and frustration and our emotional well-being, especially as the vegan change makers we are. So I want to thank you all for joining in on this live stream. Please leave a like, say how you liked it in the comments, share it with your friends if you think that's very helpful or has been very helpful. Share it in any kind of Facebook group that you feel like would benefit from knowing about this. And yeah, my name is June Fuchs. I'm a certified life coach, and thank you one more time. Blessings and much love to you all.